Herald-Times sports editor Chris Korman, joined by Hugh Kellenberger. Which one's Hugh? Hugh.
Over here.
And Dustin. We're here. Look at this configuration we have going.
We're kind of like bodyguards or something like that.
Yeah.
If someone were to come and rough up Chris right now, we would
exactly.
totally
it would be our job to prepare to protect him. Really,
I put my arms like this.
Exactly. Now I look
to
tough
tell
too.
any evil people.
Precisely.
Don't come.
There's no one left in Assembly Hall, by the way.
No, there's really
nobody.
Nothing that's going to happen at all. But we look tough anyway.
Anyway, tonight we covered the Michigan State game, the return of the vigorous, hard-fighting Hoosiers.
Yes.
Still ended up in a 14-point loss, but to be expected.
Because it's Michigan State.
It's Michigan State.
Pretty good at basketball.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty veteran. Indiana, not so veteran.
Not so much.
Dustin, your take first.
It was big that they were here tonight. They at least were present. They showed up. They came and they came to play a basketball game. And they were clearly physically overmatched, especially inside. I mean, Draymond Green was just literally bullying people on the low block. He was 5 for 5 from the field for 13 points. And even when they had to go outside, Kalen Lucas made some huge shots and played like the defending Big Ten Player of the Year. Michigan State was clearly a physical superior team, but it was really big for Indiana just to get back to being itself, just to at least getting back and fighting and making it a game and making it interesting and really battling and not looking as listless as they had the previous couple games. It was a big deal. It was a downward spiral for a while there, and it was important that they at least showed some effort and got into it again. That happened.
Hello, cleaning people. Good to see you. I have to ask you about your get-up, Dustin. What do you? I mean, I asked you at the office earlier. Are you going to a grunge concert later?
I might be.
Is Eddie Vedder nearby?
I had to wear the boots today because there was too much snow. I wasn't for pulling out the dress shoes and the pants because I didn't feel like dealing with that.
It's quite a theory. Hugh looks good though.
Yeah.
Hugh, your take. You have not seen the Hoosiers in some time.
Not live.
We've
no.
had you bogged down with this Bloomington South basketball team that hasn't lost in
40. Yeah. It was interesting, Matt Dollinger during the chat said that it's getting
we got a Dollinger reference.
Watching Indiana lose game after game, and it's kind of how I feel about watching South sometimes. For the opposite, no, they just win.
People are happy to talk after a win, though.
They are.
Losses, not so much. We'll get to that later, though. But,
yeah.
Yes. I will say this: they did come out. They did play with a lot more energy than they had been playing with. I thought that was impressive. Tom Crean was dismissive of it. 15 field goals. That's a bad number. Going 13 minutes without a field goal. That's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's dismissive of it because they did go to the free throw line and they did make free throws.
Yeah.
25 for 28.
25 for 28.
Right, but you cannot expect the officials to bail you out. You have to be able to generate their own shot, and I didn't think at any time the offense really did that.
No, the offense didn't work that well, but I mean, they got to the line tonight. I mean, Crean had been saying for a while that we have to give them no choice but to call the foul, and they did that more tonight. They went to the line, they went at them inside, and they drew fouls. I mean, Indiana got to the line because they wanted to, and that was a big thing for them tonight. A lot of times they were not going to score inside; they kind of had to rely on that, and that's a lot of things that they did. I mean, as it's been stated a lot of times, I mean, they went 13 minutes, I guess, without a field goal.
Right.
But in that time, they probably made 12, 15 free throws.
They were
a lot of those buckets
I think it was
14
free throws.
But
there was a lot in
how
that
many
stretch.
possessions to start the game did they go down to the last 5 seconds of the shot?
Yeah, there was the
It's a
mess.
good defensive team.
Right.
It's a good defensive team. It was some. Just I don't know. I wasn't really impressed. They had Daniel Moore and Jordan Hulls out there on the court at the same time.
And Rivers too.
And
Yeah,
Rivers
doesn't score.
I don't understand that lineup combination.
Well,
especially against a team like Michigan State, because you do have to go play defense, and Daniel Moore and Jordan Hulls have big limitations defensively.
Sure, but I mean, you're dealing with 2 limitations on your other guys. I mean, Devin Doom is one had 3 fouls, 2 is sick, and Verdell Jones has lost 12 pounds in the last 4 or 5 days.
So why not go 3 forwards?
He says. You could do that.
Playing a very big Michigan State team where
there's an option there. There's an option there. Point Hugh.
Just saying, if there's a time for 3 forwards, Michigan State's probably it.
Right. Let me get to the post game and Tom Crean's feistiness. The guy was feisty. I'm not going to hold back. You don't think he was feisty?
I think he's just mad at me.
I think
no,
because he was dismissive of Dollinger's question,
yeah.
and he was dismissive of Hodges' question. He was feisty all around.
I don't think he liked my question either. I think he's
that's right. He didn't like your question.
I think he's upset with all of us.
And he also didn't like I don't know who it was from
the Michigan State question. He jumped. Let us take you through it. A Michigan State media member who must have been there when Crean was there began by saying, something along the lines of, for those of us who covered the rebuilding project you did with Tom Izzo, and Crean jumps right in and says, oh, it's nothing like that. It's not even close. We had players. And sort of got a little snappy, and then eventually answered and said, I learned so much from Tom, and I'm grateful. But Dustin asked, not long after that, how did it feel?
Was it to have the spirit back?
Right, to see the spirit and the effort, which Crean created as a storyline. That is not a media-created storyline. He said, we've been lacking that effort, that spirit, and Tom said we played hard. And then Dollinger, the aforementioned Matt Dollinger, used an old reporter's trick, which is to just ask the same question again and see if they forgot that they didn't want to answer it. That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Actually, it works a surprising amount of times.
And Crean kind of, once again, didn't want to go into it. So there was definitely something, and obviously his team still has lost a bunch of games. Mm-hmm. He lost to a mentor. Maybe that's difficult for him. But I think he was clearly upset with some of the coverage, some of the way that the last three games where I know our coverage really said that Indiana didn't appear to have the effort, didn't really appear to have effort, cohesion, some of those very core things. And I don't think Crean took nicely to that coverage, is my only guess. My question was about recruiting. I wrote my column tonight about this recruiting class, and the idea struck me when I was talking to Dan Dockich on the radio this week, just a couple days ago, and he asked about the class. Is IU's class, has it flopped? And that was really the first time I really thought deeply about that question, and I think the only answer is that it really hasn't. IU's class is relied upon so much compared to others. I went through and did some stats, and IU was 11th in rivals. The number 9 recruiting class was UCLA. They play something like 25% of the Bruins minutes. UConn, I think, was number 10. They play about 20%. And then Oklahoma State was the number 12 recruiting class. And there are 6 of them. So it's like Indiana's is a large class, and I think they only account for 20% of the minutes. So this class is so out there for people to see. It's relied upon for so much. And so I asked a question similar to that. Michigan State had 2 recruits, both 4-star centers, I think. Derek Nix starts but only played 10 minutes. And so he had spoken about Nix saying, well, you have to earn your time in Michigan State. And so if Nix is out there, he's earning his time, and they have to learn through the system. And
he being Tom Izzo.
Right. And so I said, well, how different is it for Christian, who is a focal point? And he said he couldn't compare the 2 players. I think the situations you can probably compare, but clearly he wasn't having it tonight.
I wonder sometimes, does Crean feel like he can kind of score points with the fans? Bob Knight for so long was so dismissive of the media. Does Crean sometimes feel like, well, at Indiana, that's acceptable?
Well, it's not only acceptable, but in some ways expected. I don't think it's a bad move, quite frankly.
Right, and maybe fans are going to like me more. Maybe they'll see a little bit of that Knight in me when I do mock a question.
And they question the team's edge. A team might be a reflection of his coach. Coach doesn't like what the media is writing. Why not snap off a little bit? I'm going to be interested to see what Bob Kravitz, the Indy Star columnist, who's not been around a whole lot during this season because of where it's gone, but he was here tonight, and we'll have a take tomorrow, and it should be interesting to see where he goes with that, because he deals with so many coaches and dealt with Knight famously for so long. I guess they did not get along famously, but that was what made it famous. I don't know.
It is interesting the players didn't have any issue with the line or questioning at all. I mean, they knew, they understood what they've been doing the last 3 games. I mean, I don't think anybody on that roster looked around and said, what we did against Northwestern, Ohio State, and Wisconsin is to be expected. I mean, they realized they're better than that. They're supposed to play better than that. And today was, even though it wasn't a win, it was at least showing that this team is not that bad.
Dustin, you've got like 12 seconds to answer this. Where does the team go from here going into Minnesota, another team that seems to be a little fractured right now? Barn, tough place to play. What's next?
Well, real quick, that's a team they beat. That obviously I think gives them a little bit of a edge. And, this was the worst part of the schedule, so they're kind of past the worst of it. Maybe that gives them a boost.
Maybe it does. We'll find out. We'll be around this week. I'd like to thank Hugh for not only being here, but dressing like a professional.
Ouch. Ouch.
Although I will
Just
say,
kidding, Dustin.
I will say
He
we are
went
both
there.
wearing jeans. It is merely from waist up that
That I
we
look
have
worse.
gone professional to
To me.
well normal.
Bye, guys.
Maybe.